and welcome back to True Crime with the Girls, Episode 2. I'm your host, Annalisa Lowther.
And I'm your co-host, Layla Wills.
Today's story is on the infamous Villisca axe murders.
On a quiet night in Iowa, 8 people were bludgeoned to death while they were sleeping peacefully in their home.
Miss Mary Peckham had a terrible feeling about her next-door neighbors. It was a sunny summer morning in 1912, and yet the Moore family household was eerily still. Every curtain was drawn and all the doors were locked. Strange for a friendly town like Villisca, Iowa. After numerous knocks went unanswered, Miss Peckham finally called a Moore relative for help.
Ross Moore arrived soon after with a spare key in hand. Together, they opened the door to one of the grisliest murder scenes in American history. Every member in the Moore family, Josiah and his wife, Sarah, and their 4 children, Herman, Mary, Arthur, and Paul, had been bludgeoned to death with an axe. 2 of Mary's friends, Enya and Lena Steelinger, who had happened to have slept over that night, were also found dead. All 8 victims were discovered in their beds. Only Lena showed signs of being awake during the attack. Somehow, the killer had slipped in at night and crept through the hallways, systematically slaughtering the Moore family and their guests with axe swings so violent he left gouge marks in the ceiling.
The grisly Villisca axe murders of June 10, 1912 shocked the surrounding community, both for its random brutality and the string of bizarre clues left behind at the scene of the crime. A heavy slab of bacon was discovered in the downstairs guest room, beside a broken keychain and the gory murder weapon. A bowl of bloody water sat beside a plate of uneaten food on the table in the kitchen. Creepier still, after his killing was done, the murderer draped cloth over the crushed faces of his victims. He then maneuvered through the home and ceremoniously covered each mirror and exposed window pane with linens pulled from dresser drawers. Who could have committed such a heinous act? Theories abounded, yet there was never enough evidence to convict anyone of this crime. Some accused Frank F. Jones, an Iowa state senator and businessman rival of Josiah Moore's, of hiring a contract killer to execute the Moore family. Others pointed to a violent man named Henry Lee Moore, no relation, who had bludgeoned his mother and grandmother with an axe in the months after Villisca and was suspected of additional slayings. Others still pointed to Reverend George Kelly, a traveling minister who actually confessed to the crime in 1917. Kelly was in Villisca at the time of the killings and even posed as an inspector from Scotland Yard to get a closer glimpse of the murder scene. He was also a rumored sexual deviant who struggled with mental health issues his whole life. Soon after signing his confession, the Reverend recanted. He was tried twice for killings and actually cleared of all charges.
To this day, the Villisca axe murder cases remain open, enticing amateur sleuths around the globe. The grisly tale also attracts tourists with a taste of macabre. The Moore homestead in Villisca is now a museum for around $500 a night. You can even rent the house for a spooky sleepover.
Do you think
crazy.
you would rent that house for a night?
I don't know, maybe if I was got a little wild card and I was feeling the vibe, probably, but for now I'm gonna stay far away from that.
What do you think of this case?
I don't know, watching you, just listening to you, tell the story, I was, kind of cringing, because that's kind of gory. I don't know if I could, handle all of that, even just talking about it. So, pictures and having to see that is crazy. I don't know. Would you go spend the night at the house?
Maybe, it depends. I mean, I'm a fan of this stuff, but I don't know, after, learning all the history about it, that's a little intense.
It's a little spooky.
Yeah.
A little asking for paranormal activity, but it's okay.
That's all we have for today's episode. Tune in next week for episode 3 of True Crime with the Girls. Maybe it'll be even scarier.